welcome to Lesson 7. Shifting now to the other major activity or function of UN CIMIC, civil administration, which is what this lesson's about. The emphasis a little bit more now on civilianizing, and there's a reason for that. Now, civilian assistance basically itself has two components, one of which is called mission support. The other is called community support. Now, mission support is really supporting those external actors that we work with to enable them to do their job better so that we don't have to use the military resources and we can conserve those. That's part of the civilianizing. Community support is really getting down to the community level and helping the local communities gain a greater sense of control over their futures. That could be political, that could be economic, social, and so on. That is, of course, done in coordination with those civilian actors, those external actors that we're helping to civilianize the effort with. There are major steps in doing community assistance and many different ways of doing it. Those are identified in the lessons. The steps basically are about identifying the common objective, collaborative planning, operational coordination, and collaborative evaluation. And all of those things are different ways and usually fall within the realm of mission support. Mission support can also appear in terms of providing security assistance in some fashion or other way, planning or actual security assistance, as well as logistical support, and as well as information sharing, that what you learned about in information sharing in the previous lesson. So community support activities are undertaken in support of the local community, and that's the major difference. But the real aims of that is to build the capacity and the confidence of those local or internal actors, such as local governments, to deliver the essential services to their populations and constituents. That includes, by the way, security. So that could mean working with and through local security actors who are recognized by the international community as being legitimate. Again, you're doing civil assistance to transition focus away from peacekeeping to peace building. This is a major transition management activity that you're doing when you're doing civilian assistance. The goal, of course, is to work you and your commanders and the mission forces at large out of a job and facilitate your eventual withdrawal. There's a couple of words of wisdom that are used in this process. Peace builders are, for example, great practitioners of this old Chinese proverb. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, then you feed him for a lifetime. And that enables, again, your eventual departure. In a couple of very important areas of civil assistance, we go through some explanation of those. One of them is the protection of civilians. Now, the protection of civilians is in and of itself not a direct UN CIMIC mission, but community support is implicated in the protection of civilians. It goes back to some of those things we talked about earlier about enabling. UN CIMIC officers should be part of the military planning team for protection of civilians, as well as the larger planning team within the mission, because you understand the civil military implications of those activities. So your expertise, your advice, your understanding and knowledge of what's going on the ground in a civil military sense is extremely important to that. Another area where UN CIMIC is very, very helpful and very supportive is in DDR, which is basically about disarmament, and SSR, which is basically about helping to build the security sector. As with the protection of civilians, those activities, or missions if you will, are not direct UN CIMIC missions, but there's a strong implication of support that UN CIMIC has. Again, those missions are directed and managed by the civilian leadership of the mission leadership team, which includes, of course, the force commander and the staff which you're part of. UN CIMIC, though, through this civil assistance function, can contribute very decisively, particularly with respect to fostering the healthy civil-military relationship within those communities. And that's very often overlooked, but it's extremely important. So UN CIMIC in every peacekeeping mission contributes to the linkage between security and development, as well as with the humanitarian space, through its civil assistance activities. That includes gender mainstreaming, particularly youth, which is becoming extremely important in helping to stabilize fragile and failing states, and of course, and perhaps even above all, the rule of law.